if I could teach my kid some of the lessons that my dad tried to teach me, I think I'd be in a good place.
When the news broke that David Bowie had died, the confirmation came in the form of a tweet. This tweet from his son, Duncan Jones, or as he was known for the first decade of his life, Zoe Bowie. From a childhood spent living around the world, Duncan has now become one of Hollywood's most sought-after directors, making Moon with Sam Rockwell, Source Code with Jake Gyllenhaal, and the biggest challenge of them all, turning one of the world's biggest games, Warcraft, into a movie.
So first of all, can I get you to take me right back to the beginning? The first time you ever picked up a Super 8 camera, what was it about it at that moment that kind of worked for you?
Oh, goodness, I think it was the fact that I actually, was able to do it as opposed to playing an instrument, which I was bloody awful at.
See, that's a story that's actually been around for a while, because I know your dad taught you a whole bunch of different musical instruments. I want to know, which one were you worst at?
Worst? I think it's probably got to be saxophone. I was able to make a god-awful racket, but no kind of tune. Filmmaking felt much more natural to me. And we're basically looking at our fell-orc, so we're kind of just pushing in like that, just to take us to the table. There's something on a creative level where you get to tell stories visually that just really was compelling to me and felt very natural. And I think, I actually like writing as well, so writing and the visual elements of storytelling kind of went together just very naturally for me.
Was there a moment when you realised film was what you were going to do? Was there an aha moment that was what you were going to become?
Well, yeah, I think there was certainly a point in life where I knew the track that I was on was the wrong one. And I'd been sort of pursuing my academic career as far as I could, and I sort of found myself at graduate school studying towards a PhD in philosophy, and there's not really much you can do with that other than teach, and I had no interest in teaching. And as I was kind of moving down that track, I realized that I'd kind of set myself on it when no one else was really pressuring me to do it, and I kind of realized, I don't have to do this. And that's when I had the opportunity to escape and try something else out, and film was the thing which I had always really wanted to do.
There's a really interesting decision that you made with Warcraft, and that most fantasy movies tend to be like incredibly Anglo, and yours isn't. You've got a lot of ethnic diversity in this fantasy world. Why was that important to you?
Well, I think it's just sensible in this day and age. I think our audience is global, our audience is diverse, and the player base for Warcraft is diverse too. I think it's absolutely natural. I think also my family's pretty diverse, so the opportunity to kind of mix it up and make it more representative is something which feels absolutely organic and natural and right for the way the world is these days.
I want to know what you're like the day before you start a big production. Can you sleep the night before?
I can. It's really weird. I don't know. Maybe I don't have a soul.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what it is.
I don't know. I feel very relaxed beforehand, and I think when I get on the set, I think the certain amount of it is the preparation. Obviously, for anything particularly technical, you want to make sure that you're prepared for it. But you also want to have a certain amount of freedom to be able to improv and just work with your actors and do whatever it is that comes to mind on the day.
Cut. Gul'dan must be stopped. We are not powerful enough to defeat Gul'dan. No. No. But with the humans' help, we could be.
One of the defining features of your Warcraft movie is that you have good guys and bad guys on both the human and the orc side, which is actually very true to the game in the sense. Tell me a little bit about that decision. Why did you decide to kind of preserve that element in the movie?
It's true to the game, and I think it also is one of the things which kind of makes us a little bit different from Lord of the Rings and from Tolkien's fantasy, which is really kind of where the bar has been set. When Peter Jackson did his Lord of the Rings trilogy, he sort of brought everybody into fantasy and set a level that everyone else has been striving to achieve since. And in those movies, the good guys tend to be the humans and the hobbits and the cute characters, and anything which is ugly is a bad guy. And I think that sort of came from the time that those stories were written. I think we've kind of moved to a different place now, and I think Warcraft itself had put its own twist on Tolkien by allowing players to play as the hero, as any kind of creature in the game, and basically on all sides. And when we made the movie, we want to reflect that twist that I think the Warcraft guys had discovered, and allow the audience to empathize and care about our orcs and our humans, and see this conflict from both sides.
It's a god-awful small affair to the girl with the mousy hair.
Those years you spent hanging around in the wings of stadiums as your dad performed, do you think fondly of those years?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was very fortunate that because he worked in film as well, I got a chance to be on, you know, film sets like Labyrinth, and that was absolutely something that I dreamt of being able to do one day. I never thought I would back then.
Yeah, I should say that for my generation, growing up seeing your dad in Labyrinth was actually terrifying. I have to figure it was surely it was the same for you.
I don't know. I mean, you know, seeing films from behind the scenes, you know, as they're getting made, it's you know, you really do have a different appreciation of what they are and how they get made.
You're about to have a kid. I think you're about to have a kid any day now.
Yeah.
Have you given any consideration to what kind of parent you want to be?
If I could teach my kid some of the lessons that my dad tried to teach me, I think I'd be in a good place. The willingness to follow what you think is the right thing for you, as opposed to, you know, what's expected of you. And that was a lesson that took me a little while to learn.
Duncan Jones, you've been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks.